Exactly 6:30 p.m. Ladies and gentlemen, we are broadcasting from the economic capital of Douala. Today is the 11th of September 2022. Thanks for joining us on this news edition over My Media Prime TV. Good evening, Lillian Fonguen.
Bonsoir Cynthia, il est 18h30 à Bétois, c'est dans la région de l'Est Cameroun. Mesdames, Messieurs, bonsoir. Merci d'honorer le rendez-vous de l'information bilingue du 11 septembre 2022 sur My Media Prime TV. Nous débutons avec Cynthia Azanu.
Ladies and gentlemen, to begin this newscast, the minister delegate at the presidency in charge of the Supreme State Audit, Mba Achar Rose, has donated school materials to over 40 pupils and students in the northwest region of the country for their outstanding performance in public examinations last academic year 2021-2022 and to encourage them back to school 2022-2023. The minister calls on those in the bushes to drop their guns and adhere to the head of state amnesty and allow children go back to school, as Charles Kebwa reports from Bamenda.
Minister Mba Acha Rose Famondam, Minister Delegate at the Presidency in charge of Supreme State Audit to encourage back to school in the Northwest region, at the Regional Assembly, September 10, 2022, donate books, school bags and cash handed to pupils and students who performed best in public examinations during last academic school year, despite the challenging socio-political context they studied. Those with A levels into higher education of learning received laptop bags, gas plate plus money for the purchase of a bottle and gas. The gift not only as an elite from Momo division, but an elite of the region.
To recognize this excellent behavior of or performance of our students and pupils, and not only for Momo, but also for the region as well, because I am an elite of Momo and an elite of the whole region. In
the presence of Northwest Governor and other top administrative authorities, the excellent award, whose largest was extended to education officials, intend to encourage other teachers, pupils and students work hard and spur those at home into mainstream education, given education is good.
And even to encourage the teachers that education is good. We all know that education is good and that they should send children to school, the children should go to school, and that those in the bushes should drop their guns, as the head of state has tendered an olive branch to them. Drop your guns and come. Let us dialogue, because nothing has ever been achieved through violence.
Minister Mba Acha Rose Famondam Academic Excellence Award, her act of generosity, she said, from the region will go down to divisional level. Call on those in the bushes to drop their guns and adhere to the head of state's amnesty.
The Kumbatu Council has engaged in the cleaning and disinfection of classrooms within the subdivision as a means to enable a conducive study environment. This exercise took place yesterday, headed by the second deputy mayor. Let's get the details with Tamfu Sidwan.
Classrooms in both nursery, primary and even some secondary establishments were thoroughly kept clean and disinfected by the Hygiene and Sanitation Service of the Kumbatu Council on Saturday. The operation was led by the second deputy mayor of the council, Madam Chibili Vivian, following strict instructions from the Kumbatu mayor, Chief Mbacho Jacob K. Both classrooms and benches were disinfected and kept ready for pupils, students and teachers who will be using them for the 2022-2023 academic year. The deputy mayor explained that the decision by the mayor of the council, Chief Mbacho Jacob K, to disinfect the schools was timely, especially with the COVID-19 trend and the upsurge of other deadly epidemics threatening the country.
The nursery, the primary school, and we've even extended to the secondary high school section. We are disinfecting, because we are preparing for back to school, and we want to make it clear that children cannot learn in an environment that is not healthy. So that is why the Kumbatu Council, through the Lord Mayor, Mr. Mbacho Jacob K, gave us this delegation of power to come here and work.
A teacher of GS Ekemba Complex explained that just coming back from a 3-month holiday is enough reason to ensure a clean environment, corona and cholera free, for kids who will be using the structures for the next 9 months.
And I want to think that it's quite something to be appreciated, given the fact that it's coming against the backdrop of another year, academic year 2022-23, and it's going to actually preempt certain diseases like COVID that could actually be transmitted from one child to another. The campus has been dormant for almost 3 months since children were recess and people infiltrate, some smoke and defecate. You don't know, some of these things are just very obvious that it could happen. So they came here now to destroy and disinfect, making the environment clean and safe for studies.
He also used the opportunity to thank the mayor of the Kumbatu Council and praise the council continues to reach out to the schools. The Kumbatu Council has always been at the center of championing activities aimed at promoting quality education and good health in the Kumbatu subdivision.
Le président de la République du Cameroun, son Excellence Paul Biya, a rendu hommage à la reine d'Angleterre dans un message adressé à Sa Majesté Charles III, décédé à l'âge de 96 ans jeudi dernier après 70 ans de règne. La monarque des 14 royaumes du Commonwealth a toujours entretenu de très bonnes relations avec le Cameroun. Reportage. Le président de la République du Cameroun s'est incliné devant l'illustre souveraine Elisabeth II après son décès le 8 septembre dernier. Paul Biya, dans un message adressé à Sa Majesté Charles III, rend hommage à la reine d'Angleterre. Dans sa correspondance, il a déclaré que le décès de Sa Majesté Elisabeth II est douloureusement ressenti dans le pays et affecte aussi le Commonwealth of Nations du fait de sa stature et de son rôle emblématique au cours de l'histoire. Il a associé également le sentiment de compassion du peuple camerounais. La coopération entre le Cameroun et la Grande-Bretagne a toujours été fructueuse. Cette relation permanente est renforcée par des actes concrets, surtout dans le domaine du partenariat public-privé. Les échanges commerciaux entre le Royaume-Uni de Grande-Bretagne, l'Irlande du Nord et le Cameroun se chiffrent à plus de 145 milliards de francs CFA, soit 263 millions de dollars en 2018. Malgré la sortie du Royaume-Uni de l'Union européenne en décembre 2020, le Cameroun avait continué avec leurs relations commerciales qu'il entretenait. Le pays de Paul Biya continue de bénéficier d'un accès préférentiel sans droit de douane pour la totalité de ses produits sur le marché britannique. Il avait également bénéficié d'un accompagnement efficace et inconditionnel, notamment dans la lutte contre Boko Haram. En 2021, le ministre pour l'Afrique au ministère britannique des Affaires étrangères, James Duglish, a été reçu en audience par le chef de l'État Paul Biya au Palais de l'Unité. Au terme de 30 minutes d'échange, le ministre britannique avait exprimé sa totale satisfaction. Il avait également discuté sur la situation dans les régions du Nord-Ouest et Sud-Ouest. Le décès de la reine Elisabeth crée ainsi un grand vide dans le pays du Commonwealth. Le trophée de la Coupe du Monde TATA 2022 a séjourné pendant 48 heures du jeudi 8 au vendredi 9 septembre 2022 au Cameroun. Le prix sur Sésame, arrivé avec l'international footballeur David Trezeguet, a été accueilli à l'aéroport international de Yaoundé-Simalène par le secrétaire général du ministère des Sports et de l'Éducation physique à l'absence du président de la Fédération camerounaise de football. Marie-Rosine Gandouda revient sur cette actualité.
Il était exactement 10 heures lorsque l'avion ayant à son bord le trophée de la Coupe du Monde Qatar 2022 a atterri à l'aéroport international de Simalène avec une forte délégation conduite par l'international footballeur français David Trezeguet.
Depuis qu'on a commencé le continent africain, qu'il soit au Ghana, après le Sénégal, et ici au Cameroun, la folie totale, l'envie, l'émotion, l'envie de participer à cette Coupe du Monde, que ça va être unique au Qatar. Et bon, moi en étant ambassadeur du FIFA parmi Coca-Cola, ramener la Coupe du Monde à vous, ça fait très plaisir.
Et pour cet événement spécial, un tapis rouge a été déroulé et dans la même veine, les groupes de danse attendaient patiemment la sortie du trophée de cet avion bondé aux couleurs de Coca-Cola qui sponsorise cette tournée. En effet, après l'aéroport, le cap a été mis sur le MINSEP, question de présenter le trophée au patron des sports du Cameroun.
Nous sommes d'autant plus heureux de votre présence que le Cameroun est très fièrement l'une des 32 nations appelées à participer entre mi-novembre et mi-décembre à la 22e édition de la Coupe du monde FIFA de football. 22e édition, mais 8e participation camerounaise. 8e participation camerounaise que nous espérons meilleure que celle de 1990 en Italie.
Enfin, la journée chargée est rentrée en gare au Hilton par un point de presse au cours de laquelle les professionnels des médias ont pu découvrir le prestigieux trophée. Rappelons que plusieurs activités ont été organisées dans la capitale à cette occasion, à l'instar de l'exposition du trophée au Palais de Sport ce 9 septembre pour ouvrir les portes au grand public. Ainsi, ce séjour s'achève ce jour. Toutefois, notons que c'est pas une primeur, car en 2009, en prélude de la Coupe du Monde 2010 en Afrique du Sud, le pays de Samuel Eto'o avait déjà accueilli ce trophée, mais avait fait une très mauvaise prestation. Espérons que cette fois sera la bonne. Surtout que le président de l'Africa Foot est l'ambassadeur de la Coupe du Monde. Pourtant, ni lui ni son ombre n'a pris part à aucune activité concernant l'arrivée de ce trophée.
1 week of the 2022-2023 academic year, some students and pupils have not had access to go back to schools, precisely in the northwest and southwest regions of the country. Earlier this week, our reporter Dolin Gonde hooked up with some of these students who now reside in the city of Douala, as we get her following report.
1 week gone since the 2022-2023 academic year began in some parts of Cameroon effectively, and it is exactly 6 years a child and many from the northwest and the southwest regions of the country haven't been to school, owing to the long-term gun battles rocking these zones. In this light, we seek to know the effects, appalling it can be termed, as some of these kids can't even read, write, nor spell their names. More so, many fear to be approaching the teenage age and even the adulthood. As it is, every child affected by the crisis has a unique story to tell, but with the same consequences of living an interrupted life.
I don't have money, I don't have father. So, come to beg whether I can help and pay my school fees. I don't have money, I
because of this crisis that had to displace us, because it was not really easy for us. If people can really help us, the IDPs, send us back to school, even something that can even help us, not only the school, but help us to know some traits that can assist us. Because sending us to school, it cannot guarantee us that we can be in that school without us having something that can really back up us. So anything that can back us up, we'll be very happy.
A desire to go back to school is identified, but the question of how did these people get here needs to be answered first.
Na pikin the way they run work for Bamenda, so person will be able to pay their school fees. They just deal with family, that kind of related people then, but no means not for go school. We only live na hand to mouth, hand to mouth. If that side say what they say, if farm for this or they even work farm, but you know so we say na Asia water. So life be very difficult for people.
Despite all efforts put in place by the government of Cameroon alongside stakeholders to quell the siege, so far all seem to have proven futile. And now, Madame Petula B, an advanced internally displaced person who has been able to use these challenges for her good, says today she's a well-celebrated fashion designer in Cameroon, given she found purpose in that place of pain as she now appeals to the general public on behalf of these kids.
I think it's the place of any Cameroonian that knows the importance of school to help that these children go to school. There are a lot of Cameroonians out there. Just imagine that 1,000 Cameroonians put together 1,000. It's going to be 1 million just today, and those children will go back to school. We are 500 of us, and we'll put 2,000. those children will go back to school with 1 million. You can see with 2,000 of us, I'll give 500 francs each. You can have 500, you can raise 500,000 just within the twinkle of an eye. So it's not as if it's a problem that doesn't have a solution. The solution is very, very easy to come by. But now, can we make up our minds? We have people out there that are able to go register these children. So let us do that.
Meantime, over 700,000 children have been impacted by school closures due to often brutal violence in these zones. This is according to an analysis released by the United Nations Humanitarian Arm OCHA, and to this effect, we recount the plight of an IDP in Cameroon.
And now the population of the Kumba subdivision have received water distributed in major quarters by the Kumba Council as well as the Kumba Army Rescue Unit. The exercise started yesterday and will continue until when water flow is restored, as Tampu Sidwan reports from Kumba.
As the Kumba water crisis continues, the Kumba Council, in collaboration with the Army Rescue Unit, have resulted in the distribution of water in streets within the subdivision. The population again queued up in major junctions across the Kumba subdivision to receive drinking water from the Kumba Council team headed by the mayor of that municipality, Prince Eseme Moses Esembe. According to the mayor, the distribution is in form of assistance to the population of his council area as they continue to move from one area to the other in search of potable drinking water.
We as municipal authorities have had to think about the plight of the people of our municipalities. Particularly, I had to contact the commandant of Army Rescue, who was very willing to work with me for us to see how we can supply potable water to people of Kumba municipality.
To convince the population about the source of water distributed in Kumba, Mayor Eseme Moses Esembe himself had to drink the water as a means to enable doubting minds to also take it home without fear. Moving from one street to the other to distribute water is also challenging to the mayor, his council, the Army Rescue Unit, as well as other stakeholders in the subdivision.
This one is more serious because it's a general problem. So it has been very difficult for us to get, especially considering the machines that the Army Rescue team has, for us to get to real good potable water. So yesterday we spent time to go around to identify some of these places and to see that the water that flows from these places, are potable are good for use, for consumption. So we managed yesterday to get one full tank of the machine that we have. But it is in the evening that we succeeded in getting a very good source, and today the exercise is going to be very smooth.
The commander of the Kumba Army Rescue Unit also assured the population about the quality of the water distributed and stated it is good for drinking. The distribution will continue in all quarters in Kumba subdivision, especially places like Anglican Quarter, Mbonge Road, Sonak Street, Nkamalikom, and others.
So when we touch those streets, I think we'll be satisfied that the people, can at least have something. And the exercise is going to continue until when the major problem that we have will be resolved.
As the water crisis is ongoing, business persons have also increased the prices of bottled water in Kumba.
En société, les motos parasols sont très sollicités au Cameroun et à Douala en particulier. Pendant la saison des pluies et parfois en saison sèche, ce mode de transport prend de l'ampleur dans la capitale économique. Les risques de cet outil dans ce reportage signé Gladys Bomotongina.
Adapter les parasols sur les motos est devenu la spécialité des mototaxis, dans la ville de Douala en particulier. Une ville marquée par des saisons sèches ardentes et des saisons de pluie intensives. Une technique bien développée avec l'expertise des mécaniciens.
Premièrement, on fixe le fer qui porte le parapluie lui-même et après tu mets le parapluie et tu visses. C'est comme ça qu'on visse le parapluie. Quand il y a deux boulons qu'on attache, quand tu sais bien, le parapluie ne bouge pas.
Quand tu t'achètes là, tu parles de ce mécanicien, le temps de monter là, il plisse un peu, directement il envoie ça en bas, directement il envoie le roulement en bas, il sait comment ça maintient. Et ça sert pour le parasol, quand il pleut là, et les boulons se bout serrés.
Ces parasols, achetés à hauteur de 12 000 francs CFA, 14 000 francs CFA et 10 000 francs CFA, en fonction de leur qualité, fait le bonheur de ceux pouvant s'en procurer dans ce métier au risque de perdre leur clientèle.
Le parapluie nous protège contre le soleil, premièrement. Deuxièmement, ça nous protège aussi contre les pluies. Puisqu'à Douala, il pleut beaucoup. À chaque moment, il pleut. On ne peut pas sortir sans parapluie. Et si tu n'as pas le parapluie, le client ne monte même pas sur ta moto. Surtout quand il pleut.
Ça sert, quand il va pleuvoir, c'est là qu'on met le parasol pour qu'il ne pleuve pas sur nos clients.
Pourtant porteurs de risques, car la plupart du temps, ces parapluies les conduisent sous des camions ou encore crèvent des yeux à des usagers. Ces derniers semblent en minimiser les dégâts.
Le parapluie n'a aucun danger. Juste dans les embouteillages, ça gêne parfois quand tu veux éviter certains. Tu sais que la moto veut passer à une espace un peu courte. Parfois la moto gêne, parfois le parapluie gêne. Donc c'est pour ces raisons, quand il ne pleut pas, quand il ne fait pas trop soleil, on enlève le parapluie.
De nos jours, le travail de transport par moto inclut tous les genres, car même les femmes se retrouvent dans ce secteur d'activité. Sauf qu'à la question de l'adaptation des parapluies sur les motos, c'est un manque à gagner pour celui ou celle ne pouvant s'en procurer.
En sport, parlons à présent de la Ligue des champions de la Confédération africaine de football. Coton Sport des Garois s'impose face au club du Lesotho Madlama FC avec 3-0, tandis que PWD de Bamenda fait match nul avec LGCO de Madagascar. Ces rencontres du premier tour phase aller sont déroulées hier samedi au Free State Stadium, Bloemfontein, au stade de Kwekong à Bafoussam. Quentin Etapel nous fait le point dans ce reportage.
Manche aller du tour préliminaire de la Ligue des champions CAF 2022. Coton Sport de Garoua fait une bonne entrée en matière et inflige une grosse défaite au club du Lesotho, Madlama FC, hier dans l'après-midi au stade de Bloemfontein. Les cotonculteurs ouvrent le score peu avant la pause. Une réalisation de Eno Brandon. De retour des vestiaires, les hommes de Gabriel Amand maintiennent le rythme. C'est à la 63e minute que Marou Swebou double la mise, tandis que Rej Koloko inscrit le troisième but à la 70e minute. Impuissant, l'adversaire n'a pas su apporter la réplique. Ainsi, Coton Sport de Garoua prend une bonne option pour le match retour qui aura lieu le 18 septembre 2022 au stade Rumdiadja. Par ailleurs, c'est au stade Kwekom à Bafoussam que PWD de Bamenda et le club malgache El Goko se neutralisent sur un score d'un but partout. Les Abakwa Boys marquent les premiers à la 20e minute de la première mi-temps. Lancé en profondeur, Ngondi Vincent Paul va amener une frappe qui se loge dans les filets du portier du club adverse. Les Malgaches vont se sentir touchés et reprendre contrôle du reste du temps de jeu. PWD de Bamenda se fera rattraper vers la fin du match à la 86e minute. Pour cette entrée en compétition africaine, le groupe très remanié du Nord-Ouest Cameroun devait rapidement s'ajuster pour la suite.
The President of the Republic of Cameroon, Paul Biya, has addressed His Majesty Charles III, paying tribute to the Queen of England. This comes at a time when cooperation between Cameroon and Great Britain has been fruitful. More of this in the following report. The President of the Republic of Cameroon, Paul Biya, has addressed His Majesty Charles III, paying tribute to the Queen of England. In his correspondence, he said, the passing of Her Majesty Elizabeth II is painfully felt in Cameroon and also affects the Commonwealth of Nations due to her stature and iconic role in history. He also appreciated the feeling of compassion of the Cameroonian people. Cooperation between Cameroon and Great Britain has always been fruitful. This permanent relationship is reinforced by concrete actions, especially in the area of public-private partnership. Trade between the United Kingdom of Great Britain, Northern Ireland and Cameroon amounts to over 145 billion francs CFA or $263 million in 2018. Despite the United Kingdom's exit from the European Union in December 2020, Cameroon had continued with their commercial relationship. Cameroon continues to benefit from preferential access without custom duties for all its products on the British market. It also benefits from effective and unconditional support, particularly in the fight against Boko Haram. In 2021, the Minister for Africa at the British Foreign Office, James Doddridge, was received in audience by the head of state, Paul Biya, at the Unity Palace. After 30 minutes of discussion, the British minister had expressed his total satisfaction. They also discussed the situation in the northwest and southwest regions of the country. The historic proclamation of the King of Britain Charles III took place yesterday, September 10, 2022, at the St. James's Palace, London. The ceremony was attended by 6 former British Prime Ministers and other top British officials or dignitaries, as Eileen Sama reports.
The new monarch of Britain has been proclaimed by an accession council on Saturday, September 10, 2022. Normally, this happens within 24 hours of the death of the sovereign. But on this occasion, a little time passed between the death of Queen Elizabeth II and the ceremony at St. James's Palace in London. Note that Charles is already king on the terms of the Act of Settlement 1701. He automatically became so on the death of his mother. Thus, the purpose of the Accession Council is basically a ceremonial one to officially announce the name of the new monarch. In another break with tradition, King Charles III decided that, for the first time, the Accession Council will be televised. The council is attended by members of the Privy Council, that is, a group of senior politicians who formally advise the monarch, the Lord Mayor of the City of London, senior judges and officials as well. However, the Accession Council is divided into 2 parts and Charles will only be present for the second. In the first part, the Lord President, the MP Penny Mordaunt, appointed by the Prime Minister Liz Truss on September 6th, announced the monarch's death. She then asked the Clerk of Council to read out the Accession Proclamation, which confirms the name of the new monarch.
Whereas it has pleased Almighty God to call to his mercy our late Sovereign Lady, Queen Elizabeth II, of blessed and glorious memory, by whose decease the crown of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland is solely and rightfully come to the Prince Charles Philip Arthur George. We, therefore, the Lords Spiritual and Temporal of this realm, and members of the House of Commons, together with other members of Her late Majesty's Privy Council, and representatives of the realms and territories, aldermen and citizens of London and others, do now hereby, with one voice and consent of tongue and heart, publish and proclaim that the Prince Charles Philip Arthur George is now, by the death of our late sovereign of happy memory, become our only lawful and rightful liege lord, Charles III.
The proclamation was then signed by the members of the royal family, the Prime Minister, the Archbishop of Canterbury, the Lord Chancellor, and the Earl Marshal, the Duke of Norfolk, who is responsible for organizing state ceremonies. The proclamation was then read out from a balcony above the Friary Court at St. James's Palace by the Garter King of Arms, England's senior herald.
Beseeching God, by whom kings and queens do reign, to bless His Majesty with long and happy years to reign over us. Given at St. James's Palace, this 10th day of September, in the year of our Lord, 2022. God save the King.
God save the King. 3 cheers for His Majesty the King. Hip hip, hooray! Hip hip, hooray! Hip hip, hooray!
Part 2 of the Accession Council was the first meeting of the Privy Council held by the new monarch, and Charles began with a personal declaration. The Accession Council has now concluded its business, but it may take some time before King Charles's coronation takes place. Recall here that some 16 months passed between the death of Queen Elizabeth's father, King George VI, in February 1956, and her coronation was in June 1953. King Charles III praised the Queen's unequaled reign after being proclaimed king. He also approved the day of the Queen's funeral, Monday 19 September, being a bank holiday. The king added that he would strive to follow in the inspiring example he was set by his mother in taking on the heavy responsibilities of sovereignty. It is worth reiterating here that this is the first time the historic ceremony, which dates back centuries, has been televised and was attended by 6 former British Prime Ministers: Sir Tony Blair, Gordon Brown, Boris Johnson, David Cameron, Theresa May, and Sir John Major. Meanwhile, the Queen's coffin left Balmoral for Edinburgh today, with thousands lining the route.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is with this report that we draw the curtains of today's edition of our weekend bilingual newscast over My Media Prime TV. I have been Cynthia Azanu. Good evening, Lillian Fonguen.
Bonsoir Cynthia, mesdames, messieurs, c'est la fin de votre journal bilingue. Merci de l'avoir suivi. Rendez-vous demain quand il sera 7h pour votre programme matinal Cop Show présenté par TATA. C'était Lillian Fonguen depuis Douala. Bonsoir.